Hello, hi. My name is Erica LaShawn. Thank you for stopping by. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome. It's June 30th, 2023. It's 3:32 p.m. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm just trying to get into not using a lot of paper, which I love paper, but I'm still on the computer looking for information at the same time. And I like to, I'm comfortable speaking, but I like facts and data. So I'm like, all right. So today I'm going to talk about Kalief Browder, Kalief Browder. All right, so I'm going to speak about him, but I came on this because I didn't say this. I work with youth. I done worked in child welfare for over 20 years. That's what I do. So at some point, I've worked in several different uh, facilities and different areas of child welfare. All right, at one point, I worked in a residential treatment facility. So there are times where I think about my boys. So I used to work with a bunch of, I worked in New Jersey for 2 years. From New York, I used to go to Jersey for 2 years every day working with my boys. And I say that because I don't know, because that's how I feel about them. But one day I'm waiting for one of them to run up on me in the street. They all adults now. All of them are an adult now. They're all adults now. So sometimes I be thinking like, whoa, and at any point in time, some young person, some man can roll up on me and be like, hey, Miss Pitts, remember me? It's happened before with a girl years ago. This girl ran up on me, was like, okay, whatever. So I just be thinking like, one day, one of these boys gonna be like, hey, I'm waiting on one. I'm not gonna say his name. I'm waiting on one. I'm waiting on two. I was helping one learn to read. I'm waiting on them. I'm waiting on them. So anyway, so at this residential treatment facility, the clients there were from 16 16, they can go up to 21, 16 to 21. So they were either there for issues with fire starting, they were there for issues with sexual deviancy. That's for real when I say deviancy, and court adjudication. That's when the judge be like, put him or her somewhere. All right. So that was the population that I work with. So these boys were there from 16 all the way up to whatever. We had 5 different units. It was a whole big building. So they opened this building in New Jersey and hired a whole bunch of us. And we all flocked to it. The salaries were something that we never were accustomed to. And we all was going. All of us. Okay, so my unit. Okay, I'm going to get to Kalief Browder in 1 second. All right, so my unit. At one point, I switched shifts to 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. So I had a relationship with the boys, kind of like, if you want respect, you got to give respect. So if you want people to respect you, but you're not respecting people, people will not respect you. It goes with children, people. I'll throw a pet in there. We all are species. You know what I'm saying? We all have hearts and brains, and we pump blood and stuff like that. So to mistreat someone, it's mind-boggling. It's really mind-boggling. So I never had that approach with my boys. And I never had a problem with them. It was to the point they either saw me as a mother, because a lot of them had young moms. They either saw me as they either saw me as a mother or an aunt or a sister. So I was able to fit into one of those roles. So before I went to the night shift, it was 3 p.m. to 11. 3 p.m. to 11 or something like that. So I built a rapport with the boys to the point where sometimes, dang, I want to say something, but I ain't gonna say it. Not on here. sometimes they would do things. The unit was cold. It was a straight up unit. It's like 30 kids, two to a room, a lounge area where they watch TV, couches, a communal area, and then showers and stuff like that. So it was a huge unit. So they would, excuse me, I noticed that the boys were, they weren't talking back to me, but they were doing things that, you in here for a reason. You in here for a reason. So they would exhibit behaviors that were not harmful to themselves or others. However, I'm like, oh my God. So the unit was called, I had this long matrix. I had this sweater, but it was floor length. It was a straight up sweater, floor length with a belt. It was cold in there. So it was like a coat, but it wasn't. It was a sweater. Oh my God. And then I started wearing a scarf. I think I had a little scarf. I had a scarf because it was cold in there. They would do things and I didn't know how. I couldn't. These are not my children, I just can't treat them like if I would treat my children. They would do things that make you want to be like I wanted to whoop them. Now, I didn't grow up. I got 2.5 whoopings. My brother got 1. So we didn't grow up getting whoopings like that. But I would use my scarf as a way to let out frustration. They thought it was funny. They would laugh. I'm not laughing. The other boys is laughing, watching me. I would whoop them with my scarf. I ain't know what else to do, y'all. Maybe they was doing it just to get a scarf whooping. I'm just like if you had a belt, that's when Miss Pitts, just settle down, because she done whipped out the scarf and she fake whooping people. Just settle down. I'm not, I'm at the end of my rope at this point. Now I have my scarf and I'm fake whooping you. And you laughing. It's time to, I ain't know what else to do with them. I'm like, okay, all right, let me move forward. I'm waiting to run into one of them. All right, the unit. All right, so when I switched, I was going to share a story. I'm not. It's clean. It's clean. But it's kind of about me, and I don't want to be in front of the world. If you want to know, call me. All right, so at some point, I switched over to the third shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., so they kind of missed me. So the only time they would see me was when, it's bedtime. So they were to the point where, before third shift, they were to the point where they were, I wasn't in fear on the unit. People be like, oh, these kids, they talk back, they do all that stuff. I used to be like, well, they don't treat me like that. They flipped it, and they protected me. They was looking at me like a sister, a young mother, or aunt, or something like that. And if I told them to do something, they would do it. So I never had no problem with them. All right, we had a special needs boy on the floor. I'm not going to say his name. But all the kids, his last name, that was his name. Everybody talked about him. He was doing this, doing that, doing this, doing that. Special needs. But however, he was in the unit. He was on the unit. They didn't even check to see if, what if you don't know how to deal with a special needs child? It's all about the money. So anyway, this young man, he had to be about 16. I love braids. I like all hairstyles. So this particular time, I had a ponytail, but it was all braids. It was like a ponytail full of braids. It was long. I like my braids long. So this resident, the unit was getting, sometimes they start wilding out. Sometimes they make noise. They do things. So you have to be like, you got to know how to shut them down. We used to restrain. I don't know if anybody restrains anymore, but we had a whole uh, I want to say, when your job thing. I can't even think of that. It was called Handle with Care. So it was a training. So somebody came in and showed us how to physically um, restrain the kids. It was like a whole day or half a day. They had mats on the floor and everything. So I'm gonna say this real quick because I'm proud of myself. So after the training, there's a I can kind of make my body on you, and all right, because I did it. I had to prove it to myself. All right, so we in a break. We in a training. They done told us how to. They done made us demonstrate on each other, or whatever. We was in there taking each other down and all that stuff. So I'm small in stature. So I'm sitting in the training thinking like, some of these kids is big. Like how can I do it? So the instructors was like, do it like this, do it like that, put your leg right here, and boom. So during the break, everybody chilling, and I'm sitting here like, I haven't started yet. This was before I even met these kids. I'm like, ain't no way in the world if somebody come out of a bag, ain't no way I'm gonna be able to subdue anybody. Wrong. So when we was taking a little break, I pinpointed a person. I'm gonna stop saying people's name unless I know you talk to you. This person was like big in stature, dreads. They made all the men wear shirt and ties, so you couldn't come to work without a shirt and tie and some slacks. So I'm like, I picked out like one of the biggest people in the room. This person had no clue. If you listening, hi. This person had no clue. I went up behind him. This is for real. He is a man, tall, meat, not small. So I targeted this person. So I said to myself, if you could do it on him. Plus I knew him. So let me give a backstory. This is not somebody I don't know. This is somebody I'm familiar with. You know, you start a job and you become familiar with certain people. So okay, all right. So we at the break and he talking. There's a couple of guys around. So this happened with the boys around. So I was like, you gotta. I needed to prove to myself because I'm feeling kind of insecure. I'm like, they about to put you with these boys. What if they try you? Can you take them? Like, I'm in a training like, oh my God. So I picked this one person that I built a rapport with any old way. I felt like, okay, he ain't gonna mind. That's what I was feeling. He ain't gonna mind. I snuck right up to him. I did the technique that they taught me. When I tell y'all, a big ass man went down. They was already on the mat. They was just standing on the mats and stuff talking. So I'm thinking like, okay, now's the time. I went up to him unsuspectedly. I did the move on him in front of everybody. This big man went down like boom, because it's a way that you do it. I'm telling y'all, the body, it's like if you learn karate or if you learning like self-help tips and stuff like that, there are things that you could do. The body don't be like, what? I did it. This big man was like, boom. And then after you take them down, okay, after they hit the ground, this is what a kid, man, child, girl, boy, after the technique is when they hit the ground, you roll them over and you straddle them on their stomach. And you wait for assistance. So people come and help with arms and legs and stuff like that. I was an arms and legs girl. I never had a real situation with a resident. I was an arms and legs girl. Oh my God. Let me write this down because I'm going to say your name, hon. All right, so back to this man. Boom. Everybody was looking like, And I completed the technique. So I straddled him across his belly. He just was like, "You got me." He wasn't mad. Of course you're not. Of course you're not. Of course not. So after he got up off the mat, he was like, he was looking at me like, "I can't believe you just did that in front of all these people." And he kind of had a look of admiration, like, you kind of did it. And I felt good inside. I was like, I'm ready. I'm ready. You should see this man. He ain't little. He wasn't fat or nothing. He wasn't no giant or nothing. But what I'm saying is, I took a man down. He ain't no, but like if a man know you about to try to, they gonna defend themselves. So in his defense, he ain't know I was coming. However, in my mind, body weight, height, muscle, all that stuff, I did the technique. Boom. I'm sorry if I embarrassed you. He ain't mine. All right. Arms and legs girl. So I was an arms and legs girl. So the guys, they did the heavy lifting with the restraints, the holding. Oh my God. Sometimes the children, they need a release, so they'll act out for no reason, just to be held, just to be held down. Some of them have sexual issues, so it could be just a issue of body to body for them. In the training, one time they said, be careful because they do things, they do things that you think is normal, but it's not. And it may be linked to their sexual deviancy, or it could be linked to their mental illness. It could be linked to something when you see it. All right, let me write that down. Okay. So I'm trying to take notes. So one resident did that. One time a resident put his hands through my hair. And I look like, what? Like, who touching me or whatever. And he smelled his hand and he walked away. So I was like, okay, this is what they talking about. Like, they'll do things like, it's not harmful, but it's kind of like, what are you doing? So that happened. He was smelling his fingers and he walked away. And I had what is it called when you, dang, it's such a common term. Flash. I had a young boy flash me. Now, flashers, because you can be arrested for this. It's indecent exposure, and if you may will call it assault. This could be sexual assault if you're dealing with me. This is a minor. So all four people have been exposed to indecent exposure. They do this for a reason. This is to inflict or impact a person negatively. It's not positive. Nobody in their right mind gonna be like, look at this, and you're gonna walk away and be like, thanks. So a person that flashes or exposes themselves, or there was a bus driver and he drove for New Jersey Transit, going back and forth to the Port Authority. This bus driver was masturbating while he was driving, and a lady that was sitting right next to him whipped out her phone. I saw it. And he finished with a tissue. Now he's driving doing this. So when people reach a level to where their sexual desires, or it reaches a level of deviancy, or it reaches a level of illegal, some sort of illegal part, or an animal, a child. Once you out there, you out there. So this young man, he was coming out the showers. I'm making my rounds. I'm watching everybody. His face, his eyebrows look like the eyebrows on the Grinch. The Grinch had them eyebrows that kind of turned up. He had a weird look, and his eyebrows didn't help. So anyway, all I know, he was like, Miss Piz, look. And he opened up his robe. It was straight up whatever. So I have to center myself. So I said, so and so, go. Now I'm yelling. Now I'm yelling. Sometimes you gotta raise your voice with them. They're used to that. They're used to being yelled at. They're used to being called names. They're used to being abused. So they used to that, and they will do it to other people. It's like they're used to abuse. All right. So now I'm yelling. I'm like, go in your room now. Go. He had a look on his face. He looked like the Grinch. His face. It was a devilish, a devious, ugh. They know what they doing, and they doing it on purpose, and he did not expose himself because he wanted me to have a good day. It was a look, like, So I thought I was over it. Like a few days later, I was still thinking about it. And I was thinking to myself, see, that's why they do it. They want to hurt you. They want you to have an effect. They want to affect you. So I'm in my own life, like, he did something to me, and it has affected me moving forward. Another one. I want to say his name. I'm not. This one. This one I started backing back because I was an arms and the legs girl. So one particular incident, this young man, he was so small and cute. CB. And you broke my watch, CB. So I'm thinking I'm helping with arms and legs. CB, everybody was scared of CB, but he was like one of the smallest ones on the unit. So it don't matter. The bigger you are, the harder you fall. It's what's inside. This little child, he had to be like 12. He could have been like 14. I think we took him at 10. I said 16, but we was taking him there. He had to be like 14, but he had an afro, and he was like a little dude. He was a cute little dude. Bad. All right, so he built a rapport with me. He used to call me Miss Piss, Piss. My name is Pitts, Pitts. He just called me Miss Piss. And I was like, hey. Because I kind of got it. I was just like, all right. He really don't even talk to people. And if he do, he turn them off and all this. So I was just like, all right. So I allowed him to call me Miss Piss. Yes, I did. I ain't smile or nothing. I used to give him the look like, that's not my name. And he would look at me back like, yeah, I know. And he would just keep going. So that's what it was. That's just what it was. I used to try to correct him at first, but he just kept doing it. So I just would look at him like, and he would just say it like, hi. I'm like, hey, bad ass. In my mind, I'm like, you bad. But he ain't give me no problems. One day he had a meltdown in the hallway, and the man, he was smart. These kids, they are children. They are strong. They're strong. So back to them wanting touch. Sometimes they need to yell. Sometimes they need to scream. And we had an infirmary in the building, a little mini hospital, whatever, nurses or whatever. And we had a padded room. I think we call it the safety room. Each unit had one, and the walls and was all padded, and there was a window where we can look in there and see. So when they will have a meltdown or go into like an episode or whatever, a nurse, you call it an infirmary, the nurse run down and they give them a shot in their butt. And that puts them out. I've seen kids sleep for 2 days. Like, I've been to work. I've done a whole shift. And so, they just sleep. And I'd be like, what's up? What's up with so-and-so? And they was like, last night, whatever. This is a new shift. I'm on a new shift. So I'm like, they give me the rundown, like last night, whatever. I'm like, whoa, they still sleep. And they will stay like that for my whole shift, and I will leave. So some of them will sleep. Some of them want that. They need their shot. Oh. All right, back to CB. Some arms and legs girl. The men like they didn't even want us to get involved. They was doing it. But sometimes them kids are strong. So and I want to help. I'm a team player. So I'm like I'll get the leg. CB got away somehow. CB got away somehow. Now it's cameras everywhere. So I'm on somebody's tape somewhere. CB got away somehow. CB punched me in my chest. Like, for real. I went back. Okay, imagine getting punched in your chest and you go back and land. That's what it looked like. So whoever was in operations, them the people that's in the room that watch everything, somebody had to be like, oh my God, CB just punched Miss Pitts. Whoa. He punched me in my chest. I was like, boom. I went back. Like, whoa. Like, for real. The men, they saw it. So now he was done. You didn't punch Miss Pitts in the chest. All right. And then he broke my watch while in the melee. I don't wear watches anymore, but I used to wear a watch every day, like the little cute feminine, the skinny watch. I used to wear a watch every day. Cell phones, we wasn't on it then. This is a long time ago. We was not on that. I wore a watch. So CB grabbed my watch and he broke it. Am I over this? So anyway, I ain't hold him to it. I don't think he apologized, but I did let him know you broke my watch. It was kind of like, I'm sorry. But he didn't say it, but it was kind of like whatever. Anyway. Residential treatment facilities. All right. Kalief Browder. Oh, my God. I almost went off. All right. Kalief Browder. So there's a teen. So I'm looking at PBS NewsHour. It's pbs.org. So it says Kalief Browder, teen who awaited trial for 3 years at Rikers, kills himself. So I'm going to go into that. But this is all, all these things prompt me. I've been to Rikers before, Rikers Island in New York for one of my kids. Now, there's a unit or several units. From what I'm gathering, they're closing them down. It's getting too violent. Them kids getting hurt real bad. But they have units on Rikers Island for teens. So I went one time because one of I wasn't with the city. I was in foster care, private agency. One of my kids went to jail. He went to Rikers. I spoke about it, or maybe I did. So my current agency, the city, has a unit where they help facilitate parents and kids, incarcerated parents, and we help them see each other. Like, we'll come get you and stuff like that. We help parents. I'm not sure if I looked before I started recording. I don't know. All right, so I didn't go through that unit. I just went because my kid was, at this point, Pataki was the mayor. Mayor Pataki. Because my kid, he had on the outfit, the state issue outfit, and it's like these flip-flops, these stick-ins. So he came from a foster home where the parent took good care of him. He was like, what am I doing here? So he brought up his sandals, and he was calling them Patakis. And I was like, he just was making reference to all the kids was calling them Patakis. So I'm like, oh my God, he's okay. All right, Kalief Browder. All right, so kids go to Rikers. I'm not sure if they still do. And Rikers on the brink. People is in there dying. The COs are getting injured. The inmates are getting injured. It's not a good look for Rikers Island right now. And every time I come on the news, it's some sort of this, some sort of that. They're going back and forth. They're not even sure if they're going to stay open. Then you think, like, where you going to put them? All right, so this person. All right, in 2010, because I'm going to keep going. In 2010, then 16-year-old Kalief Browder was arrested for allegedly stealing a backpack. The following day, Browder maintained his innocence, but as his family was unable to pay his $3,000 bail, he was sent to Rikers Island on New York's East River. Browder spent 3 years at the city's main complex on a $10,000 bail. He told the New Yorker in a December 2014 interview that while there, he encountered beatings from officers and inmates, spent hundreds of days in solitary confinement, and had attempted suicide more than once. He was released from Rikers Island in 2013, but the pain and the emotional toil he endured while locked up proved too difficult to bear. Browder committed suicide on Saturday at the age of 22, 2 years after his release. New Yorker reporter Jennifer Gonnerman, Gonnerman, was profiled Browder last year. Browder last year visited his family in the past weekend. She wrote, okay, so so this young man, during his time at Rikers, Browder refused on several occasions to plead guilty in exchange for less time in jail. He would await a trial, but Browder never got his day in court. The man who had accused him of stealing a backpack years before had returned to Mexico and refused to come back to testify. Without a complainant, there was no case, and without a case, there would be no lawful declaration of Browder's innocence. It stops here. There's another link here. So what I'm trying to say, he got out 3 years after all of this, and he committed suicide. So these residential treatment facilities, or these correction facilities, prisons, I'm more for rehabilitation. So there are people in prison. I did a thing on death row. There are people on death row in prison who are innocent. There are a lot of people who are not, and they say they are, with the evidence, with the videotape. They just be like, "What? I ain't do it." Okay, so back to rehabilitation. I don't think it's enough. And then I'm about to say a word that I can't say. I do this every time. Recidivism. I think I did it that time. I cannot say this word. Hold on. I can't say this word for nothing. Oh, what she say, girl? My window open. I'll be living here in these little conversations. Click here. Come on. Don't do that. Recidivism. I can't say that word for nothing. I'm gonna get I had the girl. The wrong girl. All right, so anyway, back to recidivism. I think that's it. It ain't acting right. See, I put the word cat in there. It worked. So why?
Cat.
What? I'm sorry. I'm gonna move on. It's okay. The word is not. It is. I just don't know. There you go. Oh, there's a V. I miss the V every time.
Recidivism.
Okay, recidivism.
Recidivism.
Recidivism. I can't say that for nothing. I gotta practice. A tendency to replace into a previous condition or mode of behavior.
Recidivism.
So recidivism with jails, the rate of recidivism is very high because there's no rehabilitation. So when inmates are in jail, they just be in there, and then they get out into the world, and they don't know how to be. Technology is taking over. They've never used a cell phone, never used a computer. I heard one guy in some interview, he was locked up for, oh my God, he sued big money, but he said going to McDonald's, it's no more menus, no more. It's all digital screens. He was talking about all that stuff. He got paid. They took his life away. Back to recidivism. Recidivism. A lot of people that rate is high because they don't know how to function. When they get out into the real world, it's like, I gotta be an adult. I don't know how. I don't know how to be a father. I don't know how to be a mother. I don't know how to be a husband or a wife, or I'm not responsible enough. So they will go back, whether it's intentional or whether they consciously think about it or not, because it's too hard out here. It ain't easy being an adult. The adulting is not for play. And some people can't do it. So they be like, I'm going back. 3 hots in a cot. At least I know I have 3 meals and some place to sleep. Even if the food nasty, even if it's bed bugs and roaches or whatever. So they either subconsciously do it, or they just be like, screw it, let me rob this bank. I'm hungry.
Recidivism.
I don't even feel like looking up the data. All right, back to prisons and residential treatment facilities and stuff like that. Kids go, I don't know, and see, my boy that was in foster care, he said they call it washed up. If you hear the term, they about to wash you up, they about to hurt you. They about to hurt you. So they're in fear. They're in fear of being washed up. Some of them are brutally. Okay. All right. So I'm just waiting for one of my JH. I'm waiting on JH. I was trying to help him read. He could not read. He couldn't read. How did I know he couldn't read? I knew JH couldn't read because they can always spell their name for the most part. If you're suffering from illiteracy, and you know, they can pretty much, they can spell their name, but it's illegible. So that's one sign. As big as you are, your handwriting should not look like you're 5. But he could spell his name. He knew his name. I started getting curious because, you know, he had his days, you know. So he took some scissors or a pen or something like that, and I saw him carving on the desk. He was sitting at some wooden desk, and he was damaging the desk. So I went and looked at it, and he carved out the word bitch, but he misspelled it. So he's sitting there like he doing something, but you know. So I was thinking like, I said, Jay, because now I'm like, what you doing? You know? I said, Jay, I said, did you do that? He looking like, you know I did it. You know, he had this look. I said, you know that's spelled wrong, right? So he was looking like, oh, yeah. I said, so while you up here damaging property, you need to spell correctly while you doing this. Crickets. So then I just, you know, I said, can you read, Jay? Do you know how to read? And he didn't say yes or no. He just kind of looked away. That means maybe I can do see cat run. You know, I may know the street I live on or whatever, but like reading. So I said, okay. I ain't even go press it. I ain't press it because I ain't want to embarrass him. He had to be about 16, 14, 15. They all was the same age. I don't know. So I was like, okay. Because right then I knew. I was like, you know, his handwriting. I was like, all right. So I don't know. I can't remember. We just went through basic things. And, you know, I will have him write. And I'm working at the same time. So I'm doing this, but I got to watch all this stuff. So JH, I hope you gotten better with your reading. Illiteracy is very big in the U.S. I was watching a piece. I love 2020. I love Dateline. I watch all that. It was a piece where it was a principal. He was a superintendent of a school, a district. So when you're a superintendent, you like over more than one school. He was a superintendent, and he was illiterate, and he learned to read. So that was the good part of the piece. But he was running a district and could not read. And he explained his wife would read everything. His wife was behind the scenes reading, comprehending for him, letting him know what this mean, what that mean, blah, blah, blah. And then he said in front of people, he would use the "I don't have my glasses, I can't see" tactic, because he knew he couldn't read. So he had made it all the way up, and he was illiterate. And he went to you go, there are courses to learn to read. So if you having trouble, or if your level of reading is low, it's places out there. The internet is out there. You Google everything else. You look at everything else. So go get you some classes and learn how to read. It's okay. All right. So JH, I hope you learn how to read. CB, one of them I heard fell out of a window and died. So I couldn't confirm that. I just heard one of them fell out of a window. All right, so that's it. I think I'm going. Side note: this facility I worked in, it was private. They turned. They had to close, and we had to move because one of the youth specialists. That's what we were called. I was a youth specialist senior. That was my first and only promotion. Not my first and only, my first promotion. I was a youth specialist senior. I think I'm gonna listen to this. I know I left out some stuff, but oh, okay. So when I went to 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. All right, because I was about to miss out. They were so used to me being there during their awake hours. I was no longer there. So when I would get there at 11, they would be waiting for me. Some will already be sleeping, but some will be waiting for me. And I would just walk in the door. Bedtime. I don't even want to be here. So, I mean, so they would try to sneak in little conversations. I'm like, okay, yeah. I would be walking around the unit like, go to bed. And they would go to bed. But they wouldn't. They just would not go to bed. And if I took a day off, I think I said this, if I took a day off, they'd be like, where were you? I'm like, anyway. So everybody get like 5 people when you watch them. Sometimes you get a one-on-one. That's if the child is they have some issues that they're unsafe to themselves or others. You get the one-on-one. I love those. I will walk in. They'd be like, Miss Pitts, you got so-and-so. They on a one-to-one. I'm like, yes. Because guess what? He about to go to bed. Every 15 minutes, you just write, sleep. We both going to bed. So, and you sleep with one eye open. It's like that. Them one-on-ones, I wasn't mad at all. I was like, who? Oh, okay. Come on. Come on. You ready? Oh. You ready? We wasn't doing cell phones like that then. I had a book. I still have it. It's Romeo and Juliet. And whoever wrote this book, oh my God, it's a thick book. It's a novel, Romeo and Juliet. And if you read it one way, it's the way that Shakespeare originally wrote it. I tried that way. I was like, okay, y'all gonna get together or not? Like, well, I'm like, If you flip the book over and do the same thing, it's the same book, but it's in standard English. I still got that book. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it for real one day. So I figured out that the other sides of the pages, you flip it over, it's Romeo and Juliet in standard English. So I used to read Romeo and Juliet, looking at this person, doze off, come back, look. All right. I'm going. Residential treatment facilities. Kids are in them. That's it.
Recidivism.
Recidivism is high. Kalief Browder. God rest your soul. And this young man, there's a documentary. That's how I knew about this. So it's on Netflix. I was like, what is this? All right, I'm at 45. Good. Because I've been doing a lot of short ones. All right, my name is Erica LaShawn. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for listening. I may be back later. So if not, whatever. I'll talk to you later. Bye.